sent the request while it's not showing up. Bringing markers. This friend won't be able to watch the live video unless they're in the selected audience. We're trying to get it, Marcus. There, there we go. Oh, he got a cowboy hat on today.
I'm elated right now. We down here spanking these Carolina Panthers 33-14. It looks like we're about to score again.
Oh man, you know you got a lot of Carolina Panther fans on right now too.
I have no sympathy for them. Just like last time, I got my Pinot Noir, I got my cigar. Only thing left to do is make boss moves. Let's get it, baby.
Okay, man. So in 1 second, I want to get all these channels going. Okay, and go to profile and get that streaming, and then let's hit the volume down on it, and bam. Week 5, like where do we start?
Man,
We're not gonna start with Alabama. That team,
wait.
we'll save Alabama for last.
Yeah, what's saved them for last?
We'll save them for last. So on Thursday, Miami versus Virginia.
It's okay.
I don't
It's
know.
not okay. It's not okay. Don't even lie like that. It's not okay. It's
All right. Awesome. But Joe, my boy, I gotta sympathize with him. That's not right.
the coach gotta go. The coach gotta go.
Oh,
He does. He does.
Manny Diaz have to go. That's
Gotta
your
go.
thoughts?
That's it. That's
He
it.
gotta go.
These college coaches make too much money to make errors like that.
I don't know. So let's talk about it. Miami versus Virginia. Score Miami, man, they 2-3 now, but score was 28-30. So we talked about Tyler Van Dyke, and I actually talked good about him on Sports Talk Friday. You know, I thought he was going to come out there and perform a bit better, but he threw for 15 for 29. You know, that's almost like a 50% completion. So he actually performed worse than I expected. But taking him out the fact, even though he had 15 completions, he threw for 203 yards. So I think that was a good thing. But the defense and these missed tackles, I just don't know how are they going to cure that. The defense and these missed tackles. What do you think, Marcus? You're the football expert. How do you fix that?
It's all in the preparation. And you never lose, you learn. So when you get fed up of taking these losses, you got to have a team meeting. Something's got to change. Somebody's got to be the voice of that team. Because obviously the head coach is not doing it. Somebody step up and say, listen, fellas, we got to turn this thing around. We already 4 games deep. Our record's not looking good, but guess what? We're going to finish this season out strong. Because at the end of the day, they're going to need some more recruits to come in. And you know what? Down there in Florida and Texas, they are known for having the best football players.
Right.
I think the state of Alabama is third. So you got to produce, man. There's no excuse for it.
Well, you got these other programs that are now going into those territories that are scooping up those players. So whereas back in the day, Miami used to get the elite high-profile players, and they're going other places.
That's a good point because Miami always have good 5-star teams. I mean 5-star players, but they're just not. It's easy to stay home. You know, like man, I graduate from Miami Central, or I graduate from Miami North. Western, some of the good teams down in Miami, but they're not staying in Miami. They're not going to You got them leaving, going out of state.
And it's not like Miami's not an unknown school. Like everybody knows who the U is.
Right.
There's not like an opportunity to make it to the NFL, which I know that all of these guys up on the field, that may be their dream. I have to say 95% of them. It's, I don't know, maybe it's the environment where they're living. They want to see something different.
I don't know.
I'm not quite.
I think they're
They
going.
want to go where
yeah,
they're
the
going to be
opportunity.
seen.
Yeah,
They're going to go to the top programs, and you have Miami ranked. I mean, they were decently ranked at the beginning of the season, so you know you had that feel that this may be the year, the turning point for that program to then get those players to stay. You know, you have to have 1 or 2, 3 good consecutive seasons where you're in the top 10 and to really drive and motivate those players to stay.
What I'm also noticing is becoming a trend. I'm starting to see a lot of colleges bring in well-known figures to come in and speak to the team. So you, let's see, 2 seasons ago, Alabama had Kobe Bryant come in. You know, Clemson, they just had Charles Barkley come in. With the rich history of the Miami Hurricanes, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, you know, Andre Johnson. Let's start bringing these guys in to mentor. I know that Ed Reed is I believe that he's the safety, one of the defensive coordinators. But at the same time, if I'm a young linebacker and I know the rich history of you guys, I'm saying to myself, you know what, Coach Ed Reed, what can I do to get a hold of Ray Lewis?
Right.
Can I get him to talk to this linebacker core? You know, find those top-notch players who thrived in that position that you were in, that you're playing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you what baffled me, and this is gonna be stuck in my memory probably all season. Fourth quarter, they're on their final drive down the field. Miami moving the ball. Van Dyke, boom, putting the passes where it needs to be. Harris carrying the ball. That rush he did for like 30, 40 yards, put them in a place where they was right there for a field goal. But this is what baffled me. First down and 10, it's almost like the goal was, hey, just hold the ball, kill the clock. Hold the ball because the line just like blocked like right there, and then he just got tackled for a yard. And then second down, same thing. Third down, same thing. So now you fourth, which this is what they say. Never put the hands of the game into the hands of a kicker. Never, I mean, you work so hard, your offense, defense work so hard all game, and then you put that final play into the hand of a kicker.
They should have went for the touchdown. They should have scored that
first
touchdown.
and 10, yeah, first and 10, go for the
If
touchdown.
Virginia would have had a minute left
To score a touchdown, because they could
Now
not have
put
just
it
got a
on your
field
whole
goal.
defense.
Yes.
Now put it on your whole defense. But I think it loops back to what you're saying. Defense can't tackle.
But but also
But a minute is a whole lot less time, and when offenses are in a hurry like that, they tend to make more errors or be off course. So you never know what could happen. Just go for the touchdown.
how do you
Right.
miss a 15-yard field goal? How do you miss a 15-yard field goal? I don't know.
Whenever I see these games and I see blow these kicks, I ask myself, are there ever any fights in the locker room? Because I know me. I know that if we put in all of this work, we done marched down the field. We about to make this thing happen. If you miss that field goal, bro, you're not walking out that locker room tonight without catching hands. That's just the way that it goes.
Not anymore. They don't do that anymore. That's frowned upon now.
Hey, Hey, you talking? Hey, Marcus, I can see you catch some hands.
Hey, but seriously, like when we were coming up in high school and you know colleges, if you didn't do your job or you was playing around at practice or you was doing things that you weren't supposed to be doing or you didn't do your job, yes, you was gonna get handled by your teammates. Your
Ashley
teammates.
Peterson say go Clemson.
Go Tigers. Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about them in a
We'll
minute.
get there. Yeah, we got Friday games too.
Cincinnati versus
You just
Notre
skipped over
Dame.
the Friday games?
Man,
Oh no. Oh yeah. We'll
I
let her
mean,
hit the
I was just
highlights real
gonna
quick.
say like Iowa is number 5 and they blew out Maryland because we had talked about that game on the show.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I didn't get a chance to watch that game, but what I did see, the player sustained a broken leg in slow motion.
Mm.
You never want to see anybody go through anything like that, but it's almost the way that he broke his leg. It's similar to what Jalen Smith, who played for Notre Dame, he plays for the Cowboys now. What he went through, it took him 2 years to get back on the field. This guy was being tackled and his leg, he stuck his foot into the ground. He broke his own leg, but at the same time, he's being tackled. So he's focusing on that leg and getting hit. I feel bad for him.
And the pain too.
Oh, it's the shock first.
Yeah.
The shock, and if that pain comes in.
Who else you have?
That was it for the top 5 for Friday night. I mean, BYU, they're 13. They played. They won though.
Cincinnati versus Notre Dame, 24-13. Cincinnati.
I think I picked Cincinnati.
I think we all picked Cincinnati. And we said it's gonna be a good game too, 24-13. So Cincinnati they remain undefeated. So let's talk about Cincinnati real quick. Like I'm gonna tell you from my perspective why they won, because of those wide receivers. Those boys was working. I mean, actually, like their touchdowns came from passes from the wideouts. So Pierce, Taylor, Tucker, like those guys, they created that win. They created that win. Alec Pierce, he had 6 catches for 144 yards. That's an average of 24 yards a catch. That's outstanding. And so, but let me tell you, Notre Dame, we knew it was gonna be a tough game, but I'm gonna tell you why they lost. Because of penalties. They had 7 penalties in that game. And I don't care who you playing against. If you have if first, second, third, fourth quarter, you have penalties, you're either going to help the team move down the field or you're going to move backwards. Stanford versus Oregon.
Upset.
You know what? I can't say that I'm really surprised by that, because both schools they've been pretty stout. You know, I mean, I believe that they're evenly matched. You know, Oregon, they've been able to produce some very quick running backs. You know, and Stanford, they produced some pretty good quarterbacks. But I wouldn't say that I'm surprised by this.
Really?
I wouldn't. At first, I didn't know that Oregon was at the number 3 position. I'm saying, wait a minute, you guys are that high? You were in the top 5? But,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, both of them are pretty stout schools, so I'm not very shocked by that.
Yeah, they'll probably drop down. They'll drop down in the rankings this week. Who else? Who you got next?
I also have but with the score so close, 31-24, I would say with Oregon, they defense have to do better going forward.
Yeah.
You know, so
I'm not really Oregon to be a defensive juggernaut. You know, I think they've been more offensive minded and got by on speed. You know, speed of their running backs and wide receivers. But the one game that surprised me, Kentucky versus Florida.
Kentucky versus Florida.
I said Florida was going to get upset.
I personally, I did not see that one coming. I mean, I believe that Florida did play us relatively tough, but I did not see them losing to Kentucky.
Right.
Kentucky's playing good ball this year, though.
They are, and it did come down to the very last play. I mean, 4th down, 13 seconds left on the clock, and you're what, less than 10 yards from the end zone? That's a lot of pressure.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was just a lot of surprises.
I wasn't really surprised by Kentucky and Florida because Kentucky always plays Florida hard.
You said that on Friday. But I'm gonna tell you what the biggest surprise was the Georgia versus Arkansas game. They blew those boys out 37-0. We said it was gonna be a tough game. We gave it to Georgia, but I don't think none of us, because everybody said, "Oh, it's gonna be a tough game. It's gonna be a tough game." It was not a tough game. And I said on Friday that if Georgia, right as of Friday, they had an average of 150 yards that they gave up on rushing. So if they was able to hold Arkansas, then they would have that edge, which they did. They only gave up 162 yards. And look at the results. So
now, for what I understood was JT Gaines was gonna be out, but it looks like they just felt like, hey, we can beat up their defensive line. So they just went ahead and they rushed for 372 yards, and JT Gaines only got 72 yards passing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they put up them yards on the ground though. They had 273 yards on the ground, so that's what gave them that game. And
we know it's gonna be, well, you can't say that. I mean, we'll see how Kentucky fares for the rest of the season. Let me pull up their schedule while y'all talk about the stats for that.
The RBs did their thing though. Cook, White, Hackintosh, Milton, Bennett, Edwards, like their ground game was, definitely above par. And Arkansas, so we just talked about penalties. So Arkansas had 13 penalties for 101 yards.
Wow.
That's a killer. That's a killer in any game. 13 penalties. I can't even remember when I seen a team have 13 penalties.
So let's see. Kentucky has LSU next, and then they have Georgia after that. So that's going to be our telltale for how good Kentucky really is. So 2 weeks from now, when Kentucky plays Georgia, because right now Georgia and Alabama are the two top SEC teams, we'll see where Kentucky stands. We'll have a good idea of what their ball club really looks like.
I can see where this season is going though. I can see it's going to end with Georgia versus Alabama. Georgia versus Alabama.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be a battle right there. But Penn State versus Indiana, another blowout game. Penn State 24, Indiana 0. So Penn State 5-0 right now, undefeated. Who's seen that coming?
I definitely did.
Everybody. Penn State was predicted to do very well this year.
Did you see Penn State being in? The way they're going right now, they may be in the top 4.
Mm-hmm. They'll probably be in the top 4 at the at this when they put out the rankings, especially with Oregon losing.
See, but I'm gonna tell you, Penn State, from my perspective, is not like a strong team. So if you look at, they beat Indiana. Indiana was not like huge competition for them. But if you look at the stats for Indiana, like they only had 199 pass yards, 299 yards on the ground. So it's not like they
Penn
like.
State's already ranked 4.
Yeah. So now you have. Again, this is my opinion. You have subpar teams like in the top 4.
Well, they beat Wisconsin, they beat Auburn, and now they beat Indiana.
Right. So, but no teams, if you look back in 2020, like teams, when you look at the top four in 2020, like these teams were like four powerhouses. So like if there was a team that had to play against a powerhouse team, you know, oh yeah, they about to crush them. They're about to crush them. Alabama will crush them. You look at back in 2020, if someone had to play against Clemson, they're like, oh yeah, they're about to crush them. Like, so those teams last year, I feel like they deserve to be in the top four because of how they performed. Not just like, oh, well, they beat this team, but if you look at the performance, how I see it is you got the top two teams right now, way up here, and then number three, number four, way down here. If number three had to play number two right now, it'd be a blowout. If number four had to play number one right now, it'd be a blowout. So I don't see it as being the top four. It's like they just like stacked right behind each other. And let's go to Clemson.
Do you want to really go to Clemson?
Let's go to Clemson versus Boston College.
Have you ever, like, your team ever won a game, but it still felt like you lost the game?
I know what you mean.
Because that's
What?
kind of how it felt. Like, you was happy because we won the game, but it didn't really feel like a win. Because it's like, what in the world am I looking at?
They gave that game to Clemson, like in the fourth quarter.
Like, what am I watching? And then, bless his heart, Dabo. I mean, after the game, I'm just listening to him talk, and I know he's got to be positive for TV. But I'm like, what are you seeing that we're not seeing? Because I could tell you, I mean, I don't know.
DJ, what do you say about DJ?
I mean,
DJ threw for under 50% completion. He threw 13 for 28.
I mean.
Yeah, and I saw those sacks. I watched the whole fourth quarter, and I'm saying, these guys get in the backfield a little bit too easy.
Yeah, Boston College was getting to him.
But it's not only that. The times that he did have opportunity to throw the ball, he overthrew the receivers about 75 to 80% of the time. The receiver was overthrown. And then what I try to explain is when he was on target, he throws the ball so hard that he doesn't give the receiver the opportunity to catch the ball because of how hard he throws the ball. He has no finesse to his throws at all. Even throwing the long ball, he throws the ball hard.
Hey, them wide receivers got to adjust. They got a man.
Well, they're trying, but you can't catch balls at your feet all the time or try to go have a vertical of 3 feet to catch the ball. I mean, it's not going to happen.
Man, they gave that game
I mean,
away.
you can't give the receiver like, oh, well, the receiver's dropping the balls. Well, you got to look at the whys behind it. And yes, that goes on the receivers. But when you're throwing them 20 balls and they miss one and the other 19, they've been overthrown, then,
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're gonna take this season here to hopefully develop a stronger Clemson team for 2022.
Well, we hope so. I mean, that's what we hope.
Well, they did a
We
good
won.
job on defense because they held Boston College. Boston College was only able to rush for 46 yards. So I think that's good on the defensive side. So it was a close game. Again, I think that Boston College handed that game over to Clemson on that last, in the fourth quarter. When Boston College get back, they whole day today should be out on the field doing snaps. Because that fumble was unbelievable. That was
Uncalled for.
uncalled. I couldn't believe it, especially after they had moved the ball all the way down the field on Clemson. I said Clemson not going to be able to hold
Clemson
them.
has so many injuries in the defensive secondary that is ridiculous right now. So many injuries. Then one of the tight ends got ejected for targeting, and then one of the tight ends went out with an injury. And we're down running backs, which Pace did amazing, by the way. True freshman running back. He really did hold that offense up yesterday.
Yeah.
Or tried his best to. And then I don't know what happened with Ross because he didn't come back. He wasn't dressed out after the after halftime. So we're right now assuming maybe injury, but Ross.
The thing is, when your offense is not performing, and so
It wears your defense out.
3 and out, punt.
Yeah.
3 and out, punt. The defense right back out on the field. Defense right back out on the field.
I'm going to say some positive things, though. I can say that Clemson was moving the ball more effectively than they have all season yesterday. They were at least getting it close to the red zone. But then we should have been up 21-7 at the end of the first quarter, going into the second quarter. But we got into the red zone twice and couldn't score a touchdown.
I would say that about Clemson. They did rush for 231 yards. So
oh yeah, Pace did amazing yesterday.
They
and
moved the
DJ
ball.
even did better running the ball, but his decision making, you can tell that he does not. It's like he waits too long to make the decision that he needs to make. Like when it was in the fourth quarter, and he held the ball, and then pitched it.
Oh yeah.
And the guy got tackled right there because his defender wasn't blocked. Pace's defender wasn't blocked, but you pitched it anyway. He was gonna get tackled. There was nothing you could like.
Yeah. If anything, he should have ran in front of the defender, pitched it, and then blocked. I don't know. It was a hard call.
I mean, those you gotta like make that decision. You can't hold the ball that long and then make the decision to pitch because the defenders are there by then. You have no time to adjust to what the defender's doing. And that's a lot of his problem right now, is his decision making. The ball snapped, then he sits back there too long when he does have time, trying to make a decision on whether to run, whether to pass, whether to pitch. And it's like it's too much for him at times. And I was reading an article.
She's gonna stay on Clemson for like,
okay,
it's gonna be
I got like
10 minutes of the show.
I got one more thing. I was reading an article. That Clemson Net put out.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did this week is they actually dumbed down the play calling to like high school level play calling because of that reason.
I didn't read that. You should have shared that with me. What did you read that at?
I'll look it up.
That must be on crazysports.com.
They didn't put it in those terms, but I'm just making it simplified.
Oh.
But they went like how the play calling is usually called, and they went through the entire play and then broke down how they were going to be calling it to try to simplify the play calling.
Alabama versus Ole Miss. Alabama versus Ole Miss. Hey, I thought, halftime, I said, man, this game over with. 28-0 at halftime, I thought it was over with. And I don't know what conversations they had in that Ole Miss locker room, but they came back out they tried. I give them that. They came back out in the second half and tried. If they would have performed how they did in the first half, in the second half, then I think the scores would have been closer.
Yeah. Well, this is my thing. You played that one head coach that I don't like. And if anybody watched that game, if you watched the interview before that game, you saw why I don't like him. He got humble. He told everybody to get your popcorn ready. The analyst is still trying to talk to him, the reporter, and he just takes off his thing and throws at her and just runs off. Well, I hope you enjoyed that popcorn, buddy.
Man.
You enjoyed it. I just, you know what? I believe I thought it was going to be a better game than that.
I did
From
too.
Ole Miss. I thought it was going to be a high-powered game. But the defense, our defense, they stepped up, getting after the quarterback, stopping the run game. You know, they did me proud. And Bryce Young, he's still learning the mechanics. He's still holding on to that ball a little bit too long. It's almost like he's scared to run with it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take off, be that dual threat quarterback that, you know, that we know they say that he was in high school. He did his thing, and you know, he had a careless interception
Right.
in the end zone. But you know, he's really clicking with his wide receivers, with his tight ends, and the running game did me proud this time. You know,
I agree.
Brian Robinson did touchdowns, so I'm happy about that, establishing the run.
171 yards. 30. They gave him the ball. 36 carries for 171 yards. So they ran their defense out for Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, the wide receivers did their thing. Williams, Bolden, they did their thing because they averaged. Jameson Williams he had 5 completions for 65 yards. So you know that's an average of 13 yards per catch. And then Bolden had 4 catches for 58 yards. That's an average of 14 yards per catch.
Yeah.
So, but again, you gotta have that strong quarterback though to even be able to put the ball where it needs to be. So when we look at the team, when we talking about again like the powerhouses, and we looked at how Miami, and we talked about Van Dyke, and then we talked about Clemson, and talked about DJ. When you look at these teams, the QB has a huge influence on how the offense is going to perform. You take a powerhouse like Alabama and Bryce Young and say he had 20 completions for 26 attempts and 241 yards. I mean, and it shows like those type of stats shows in the scores. And let's not forget the 2 touchdowns too.
Yeah, that's not. Yep. And you know what? I like the fact that he doesn't think that he has to score all the touchdowns.
Right.
I believe he trusts his running back. Seems like he's very mature. And I mean, if you can trust your running back, I mean, you can't lose.
Right.
Brian Robinson, with him being his 5th year, he's really wanting to produce, get out there and, you know, showcase himself, because I'm sure that he wants to go to the NFL. I'm pretty sure they've had that conversation like, hey man, I want to help take some of that weight off of you. Don't feel like you got to score it every time down the field. I'm right here behind you.
Right. Well, kudos to the Alabama defense also. They only gave us 78 yards on the ground. I mean, but it shows why didn't, number one, 78 yards. They only gave up 78 yards on the ground.
Yep.
I mean, that's almost like playing a team in the NFL with that type of performance.
You actually just had Urban Meyer, the head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars, say being the coach of the NFL is like playing Alabama every week. He said it 2 weeks ago.
Did he say that?
Somebody caught him off guard. Caught him on audio saying it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be back on Friday for Sports Talk Friday. Marcus, Blessed Man Success Certified Royalty. Thank you so much for joining us today on this recap. How you say it?
Recap Sunday.
Yeah.
Salute and let's get into it.
Y'all heard it.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys on Friday for Sports Talk Friday. Have a blessed Sunday.
If you need anything.
Be blessed.